All right, welcome to the first Argo Flux Dev meeting of this year. It's great to see a lot of people. Yeah, let's take notes together. If you're new to the meeting, you can also introduce yourselves. And I think Alex had an update first.
Okay, so I think I mentioned that last meeting. So basically, Argo team was focusing on just fixing bugs and getting Argo core features into a better shape to prepare for GitOps engine work, and that was completed yesterday. Basically, we finally released 1.4 release, and unlike previous releases, we do not expect endless set of release candidates because what we were building is already running internally and tested. And it's basically half of yesterday and today morning, I'm just finally started working full force on GitOps engine, and I'm just executing the same design doc which we prepared a long time ago. Yeah, and hopefully, I hope to see a real progress in 2 weeks from now. Hopefully, next meeting we will get a better update. Yeah, that's my update.
Alex, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, what are some things that the contributors or folks that are interested in contributing to the repo can help with, whether that is logging issues about feature requests, whether that is providing documentation or testing things out? What are some things that we can help with?
Yeah, I think like the first part of work, which I'm going to work on, is hard to split, but at the same time, I feel like we started several parallel threads. One was, or actually two other threads were kind of GitOps related. A lot of people struggling to subscribe to events related to new images in a Docker repository, and we've got a lot of questions about that. And second was how to update manifests and push those images into Git repo. And we just had we had conversation about that last year in one of these meetings, and I just created kind of two almost placeholder docs. All these docs has just a problem statement, and it would be nice to get more details into these docs.
Some feedback on those?
Yes, feedback and maybe some concrete use cases, because like internally we kind of solve these problems somehow using Jenkins. It's not perfect, but it's working. We want to hear what else, like what other improvements are needed. So it's hard for me to contribute because I'm not facing that problem personally. We are focusing on GitOps operator, on Argo CD, but at the same time, a lot of someone who's trying to solve that problem end to end have to take care of getting events, notifications, and push changes into Git, and then trigger Argo or Flux.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put links into the two docs that you're referring to.
Yep.
Into the meeting notes.
And after that, I feel like in 2 weeks from now, in 2 weeks from now, we will have some kind of a prototype. Maybe PR, and basically this, I guess within a month we will be able to, start testing and help with testing, and will be.
Well, it's good segue into a thing that I put down on the agenda notes. How are we planning to do end-to-end testing? Maybe this is better for Hide and Fons, but I remember we had some sort of end-to-end or functional testing framework or some stub tests that we were working on. Maybe you could chat a little bit about that, and that might be an area where we can get some contributions in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, incorporating end-to-end tests to Flux would be super helpful. We already have a few of them, and we built a framework. It's based on BATS, which is a testing framework for Bash scripts, but it works well when you need to set up a lot of scaffolding around the end-to-end tests.
But it's not in the GitOps engine repo, is it?
No, it's in the Flux repo.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
I guess that's the approach right now. We're just testing, products separately, not the engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and engine maybe engine is going to have just unit tests, but I cannot imagine end-to-end tests.
Okay. Well, maybe Fons, you and I can work on getting some instructions for external contributors to try out those tests, and maybe add some more tests to the suite.
Sure.
That'd be cool. I think I like the end-to-end test stuff because it's a really easy way to kind of get your toes wet, in the contributor field, and walks through a number of the common scenarios for the GitOps stuff. So yeah, that would be great. Also, one other thing that I put down in there, adding a make to the repo.
Yes.
Maybe Alex, we can do that. Just get your thoughts on how you're building the GitOps engine stuff and its integration with Flux CD, and some repeatable instructions for folks to follow along.
And CI, of course, all that has to be done because
exactly.
Right now, it's just a dump of code. I mean,
it's cool. I'm trying to identify things that'll accelerate the external contributors. So anyway.
Yep.
So Fons and Alex, unless you guys have anything more on the code front, we can move on to introductions from new folks, if that's cool.
Sure, yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. Olivier, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your use cases with GitOps and some areas where you might be interested in contributing.
Okay. To my part, I work for Orange Company, and we already have GitOps for dedicated first for Bosch and Cloud Foundry. He's able to, from Git, deploy everything from Bosch release. I don't know if you are, if you know what is a Bosch release or not, but it's a way to install Cloud Foundry. And we also deploy Kubernetes with Bosch release. I've done already another Bosch release to deploy with Koa some mchart or some Kubernetes object inside our Kubernetes.
So
but
do you currently use Argo CD or Flux CD, or is it
not yet?
Is it
not yet?
Okay. Are you interested in moving to Argo Flux to sort of replace some custom stuff that you've built around Bosch and Cloud Foundry? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, because it's not dedicated to Kubernetes.
Right.
So maybe we thought that we think that Flux and Argo are more dedicated to Kubernetes and maybe more simple than the tools we have done for that. So my main question about Flux was about secrets and how Flux managed it.
How Flux manages secrets involved in the CI pipeline? Is that what you're asking?
Because currently we take secrets or certificates from CredUp tools. We generate secrets or certificate. On inside our YAML, we just say that we want to use a secret, and the GitOps tools take it from CredUp and put it inside all our deployments. I see that Flux can use a tools made by Bitnami to do that, or use Vault also.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not familiar with these two options. So I'm very interested to try and to see how it can fit with our needs.
We recently added support for SOPs. I don't know if you're familiar with SOPs.
Not yet.
All right, so SOPs lets you put the secret in Git encrypted. And on the Flux container, Flux will decrypt the secret once you provide Flux with the credentials.
Is that
that's it.
SOPS font?
Yes.
SOPs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I got a question about SOAPs on one of the Argo. I think it was either, I guess it was on Argo Slack. Mm-hmm. And I never heard about that too. So it's a good idea too.
It's good. Well, apart from its widespread use, it seems that a lot of people are using it. The nice thing about SOPs is that the blobs are self-contained. They include the encrypted data, but also how to decrypt it. In case you use KMS in the cloud, it will also tell you, I don't know the specifics, but it will also tell you how to decrypt it. You also need to provide the credentials, but that you provide in the Flux container. Yeah, and that's really good because it lets you keep the secrets in the Git repository as well.
So it's some kind of, similar to sealed secrets, except secrets are decrypted on the fly during manifest generation. It's kind of.
They're decrypted on the fly by Flux, yes.
And then, at least not in a Kubernetes, not in the target Kubernetes cluster, but in a Flux container, basically, and then Flux pushes into, okay.
Exactly, yes. For that to work, you need to provide Flux with the credentials to or the key or whatever to decrypt the secret. But yeah, and we also provide the subs binary in case you want to use manifest generation with it, so that you can invoke subs explicitly if you want.
And maybe, Oliver, I can add what we usually answer to that question to Argo CD users. So far, answer is kind of.
We are not opinionated about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we were saying is you kind of have some flexibility how you can generate manifests. And if you want to, you can either use external tool like Sealed Secret, or you can kind of create a shell script which generate manifests. And then in that shell script, you can do whatever you want to decrypt secrets. And we also keep getting kind of, there are ideas floating to leverage secrets inside of Argo CD namespace, but we kind of, it feels like a big commitment to start developing something like that. It would be
what would be the advantage of that versus using sealed secrets or SOPs? Like that?
Because sealed secrets and SOPs, it's more of kind of it's pretty. I don't think it's a lot of functionality around it. All you have to do just add that automation, and what our users were kind of asking is to kind of try to build the whole secret management built into Argo CD. So we would have to have UI, and that UI would provide access to a list of secrets inside of Argo namespace, and then you can have some kind of templating.
End up sort of reinventing a number of things that
right. Yes, and this is why. And SOPs, based on what I'm hearing, maybe SOPs, if it's really a widespread thing, maybe it's kind of a good compromise solution, because it's maybe better than sealed secrets, because in a way you don't have to install anything in your cluster, and at the same time it lets you use.
Sounds like this would be a good design doc proposal to, or something to put into GitOps engine just so we can get some feedback from folks.
Yes, and I realized that I heard about it and I kind of ignored it because I didn't know, what is it?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to learn more now.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it either.
It was a contribution from a non-maintainer in Flux. So yeah, it's been in Flux since Flux 1.17, so pretty recently. I think before Christmas.
Cool. I can take an action item to get a initial doc pushed up to the GitOps engine repo so we can iterate on thoughts around the whole area.
I think we need a more like general purpose design in terms of handling manifests, which right now is not in scope for the, well, for now at least in the short term, it's not in scope for the GitOps engine. But I think at some point we want to do the manifest handling there. Let me clarify, the reading of the manifest and handling the Git repository and so on.
Okay, so
and
instead of
I want to
just like a GitHub issue or something.
I want to return it back to Oliver. Would it work for you? Like, imagine would you use SOAPs? Oliver? So I'm trying to
Sorry,
just hear you.
I was in mute. To our parts, we have a different approach currently because we have two Git repo. One is public with all infrastructure described and managed to make it everything public on it. And one other is not public, it's private. And this second repo store everything like secrets, like a certificate. As I said before, they are generated by the tools which name is Credab. But we definitely separate what is public from what is not public in two Git repo. And the tools at the end merge, the GitOps tools merge the two repo to produce the infrastructure.
So you can use SOPs regardless of how or of whether you keep things public or private in Git. That's unrelated.
Oh, I guess what I heard is I think secrets protected by privacy of a repo right now in this case. So public is public, and maybe the tool which they're using has access to this private repo, somehow get the secrets from private repo, and then And
in subs, you just place the secrets in Git and they're encrypted. So if you use a strong enough encryption, it's fine that they're well.
It's not the problem of encryption we have, because if in fact with the same infrastructure described inside the first Git repo, this same infrastructure are deployed in several places, and each place has its own secrets. So each repo, I don't know how to explain that, but we deploy the same infrastructure in several places. Each place has its own Git repo secrets, different from the others.
Okay.
And
they will also have different secrets, right?
They have different secrets, absolutely.
I think that's fine.
Having two repo, which doesn't merge secrets and infrastructure in the same repo, allow us to have a way to share infrastructure in different places, and everybody has his own secrets.
Okay.
I will describe it on the document.
I feel like at least I got it. You're kind of solving, manifest generation problem and secret management using that approach. But yeah, at least I feel like if you had to migrate to SOAPs, I would suggest using a tool to do it. Like you could use Customize, and the base of that Customize would have content of your public repo, and then environment specific folders would have encrypted secrets, and you would get the same. Basically, you would not have to duplicate public manifests. Yeah. At least so far what I'm hearing, maybe it would work for you if you have to migrate to, there is a path at least to migrate to something like SOAPs. If I got it right, of course.
Maybe we can, put all this stuff into GitHub issue, and Olivier, you can comment on that GitHub issue with your specific use cases and what you'd like to see in Argo Flux.
Okay.
Cool.
I know a lot of people who hate that idea of encrypted secrets, because it's like, especially security people, because once your key is kind of compromised, all your secrets are compromised, even the old ones, because in Git history you can restore. So that's, I think, the biggest disadvantage. But I have no idea what is the better solution. It's like, and I think this is why whole Argo team kind of, we're just trying to. It's a tough problem, but because we don't really we're not experts in that security and we cannot offer anything better, we're just trying to keep solution as flexible as possible and let people do whatever they want.
Be opinionatedly non-opinionated. All right, so let's move on. So do we have anyone else on the call who wants to introduce themselves and bring up their use cases?
Sure, I'll jump in if it's okay.
Absolutely. Hi, Adam.
Hey, everyone. My name's Adam. So just so you guys know, I'm on SRE over at iHeartRadio. Currently, I would say pretty much all of our kube clusters besides one are using FluxCD and GitOps to maintain config state. And I've been using Flux for probably over a year now, I think, probably since around last fall. I was first introduced to it. So everyone here is really liking it. I spent the past month or two kind of doing the whole evangelization of the GitOps processes, how to use Flux and everything. And it's been a huge uptake. And we're finishing up moving the last of our non-cube dev product teams onto our platform using basically Flux as kind of the driver, since everyone's familiar with Git. And just as someone who's been using the product for so long and really enjoys using it, I wanted to kind of reach out to the community and see, how I could help out and contribute in any way. Whether, like you said, it's helping out with unit tests, whether it's helping out with documentation. That's kind of why I've been popping in these last two meetings to kind of see what I can do and kind of help bring GitOps to a wider audience, because it's been a huge impact in terms of being beneficial to kind of maintaining that cube state, and I've really enjoyed using it. So it's pretty much it for me.
It's great to hear that. I'm waiting for your PR adding iHeartRadio to the list of production users of Flux. I don't know if you've seen it in the README.
Yeah, at the bottom there's a couple of those. Yeah, we can probably add our name in. I think that should be fun. Bet you guys would be into that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that at this point, in order to bootstrap the GitOps engine, Alex is gonna turn the proof of concept into production ready code, and then we're gonna be adapting Flux, and from then on we're gonna be incorporating new stuff. But until that happens, the coding is not gonna be it's not gonna be easy to parallelize, because the GitOps engine is gonna be based on Argo, and most of the knowledge of Argo is concentrated in Alex's head. But you can do separate things like incorporating end-to-end tests to Flux. You can find the tests in the test E2E folder, and you can incorporate your own you can see what's there, and maybe you can add tests to cover other stuff. It's coded in Bash, so I don't think it would be hard to add new tests.
All right, definitely, I'll take a look after the call.
Maybe it's like, again, not an immediate action item, but later on it would be helpful if you help us with performance testing, because what we're trying to do is supposed to make Flux, improve Flux performance. It would be nice to measure it somehow. Yeah, and if you, as existing user, if you could later on, use, I don't know, run this Flux, a new version of Flux, and maybe in read-only mode, and use some metrics to measure performance, it would be great. And maybe we can, work together to figure out what these metrics are.
Definitely.
How big are? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead. It's fine.
How big are the clusters? Do you have a lot of small clusters, or do you have less bigger clusters? What's the situation?
I think right now with Flux, we're running around 6 clusters right now between like staging, prod, and everything like that. And I would say like our prod clusters are usually sitting between around 50 to 100 nodes, depending on the cluster. We have the Flux configured in both like a multi-tenant fashion for kind of our core cluster, and then we have a couple single tenant clusters for some more specialized teams. So we're configuring it in both ways, but definitely the multi-tenant ones tend to be a little bit bigger.
It sounds like pretty big already.
Flux Helm operator? Adam?
Yeah, Flux Helm operator. We're using Helm releases for most of the stuff. Interested in maybe doing a customization setup, but right now Helm releases and Helm itself is a little bit easier to kind of get out in front of everyone and customize, was at least in terms of examples, documentation, things of that nature.
Okay. Do you manage whole cluster with one Flux instance or Flux per namespace?
So it depends on the setup for the multi-tenant cluster. We have multiple fluxes. So basically we have like what you want to call it, an admin flux, and then that manages like sub fluxes for each team. On the single tenant clusters right now, we're using a single flux deployment.
And have you ever seen a performance, like, would you like to improve the performance, or you've never seen a problem so far?
We have not run into an issue where we've seen any performance issues. I did know that basically reading through some GitHub issues that on multi-tenant clusters with a lot of teams, people have seen that. And so we kind of tried to avoid that right away by just going with the split kind of Flux deployments for each team. I think probably right now part of it too is the main multi-tenant cluster is somewhat new. So there's only very limited services on there. Teams are still migrating things over. That may become more of an issue as teams kind of fully adopt Kubernetes for all new services and continue migrating existing services over. So that's still kind of like an in-process situation. But as of currently, we haven't run into any major issues regarding Flux and performance issues.
I'm just asking, just to figure out, identify you as a potential beneficiary of a GitOps engine.
Adam, what are some of the features of Flux CD that you've come to rely on? And alternatively, what are some of the pain points that you've had using Flux CD?
So I would say the main benefit of Flux CD is more of the GitOps aspect of it. A lot of times when we were coming into Kubernetes, there was a team that had kind of come into Kubernetes previously, who kind of set up this whole in-house Jenkins system that became very, very intimidating for other teams. Like the team that set it up knew it very well. So the main point was like, for me at least, was the whole Git-driven aspect of it. It's all through GitHub. It's all pull requests, or obviously Bitbucket or whatever you're using. And that's a lot easier. I did play with Argo a little bit, but my fear with Argo was, the data science team is going to be like, oh, another tool I have to learn. They know pull requests and they know things of that nature. And so that's kind of like, I would say, the main selling point from my perspective.
Do you use the image artifact right to Git config repo functionality that Flux CD has?
In the sense of like basically auto deploying like new updated images, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So currently we haven't used that outside of like basically some tests. Part of that is it's kind of adjusting culture here to doing automated deployments. There is a little bit of kind of push back against that. But the idea is that over Q1, we'll be at least doing that for our dev environments. But the other big issue with that is basically coming up with, kind of a standardized image tagging issue, which is kind of outside the scope of Flux, but more of a general processes thing to also kind of get teams to agree to that. So that's kind of where we're hoping to go for our Q1 kind of changes in those processes and what we want to do with it. But it's definitely something I want to look at. I did run into an issue with the multi-tenant cluster where I wasn't, what do you call it? It was scanning like a bunch of cube cluster pods. And basically GCR blocked me. We got rate limited for a little bit because I guess the default scan is like 200 requests per second or something. And then we had like 4 or 5 different Flux instances hitting it. And it, that was one thing that I was like, oh wait, hold on. We don't really need it to scan these pods. It was a Istio deployment as well. I was trying to pull Istio pods, but it wasn't really necessary. So that's one of the things we want to kind of like make sure we understand fully before we actually move to automated deployments to it.
It is in our plans to decouple the image scanning into a separate component, probably a separate executable or maybe a library. And in that way, maybe we haven't fully designed it yet, but you would be able to share the scanning information across multiple Flux instances.
Yeah, that would be definitely really awesome, I think, from the perspective of kind of, still using it, but without it kind of becoming overbearing in that multi-tenant situation.
Awesome. Looking forward to your feedback and contributions, Adam. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I think the only folk that's still on the line here that hasn't spoken up, Dimitri, did you want to say anything or?
No, just listening in.
Totally cool. All right. Well, so since this was a sort of makeup session from last week, we are still planning to do next week's same time, same place meeting, if that's cool with everyone, and then we'll just be back on the every other week cadence. All right. Cool. Daniel, anything?
No, that was also what I wanted to say.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.